Hello, good morning. Today we're going to do a bunch of little things, bolting on parts that I cleaned yesterday or were already cleaned, but that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to bolt a couple more parts on the chassis, and we're going to start with the starter, being it's the easiest one and it's right next to me. So let's get at it. Okay, it's important to grease the shaft up where it's going to go into the bushing. And in this case, there's only one stud, so we have a bolt and a washer. And we're going to bolt that on. I think we're talking 17 millimeter. Yep. Okay. All right. What's next on the agenda? Maybe the heater cables. Put a little dielectric grease on it, just to keep everything smooth. Now it's a little tricky, but you got to get the cable. Put it on the end, wrong way. Get it back in the hole. There we go. It's a little tough, but not bad. Okay, now we want to put another washer on, a little grease, both sides. The washer on. Now there's a little keeper we put on here. Put a little grease on it. This goes across the front like this. Then we put a nut on. 13 millimeter. We got a pretty tight. There that goes. Still gotta go tighter. Okay, I think that's what we're looking for. It's a little tight, but that's what I want. Okay, now we're gonna do the other side. Same thing, a little grease. Both sides. Put that on. Now we get the arm, which I have here somewhere. Here it is. Same thing, a little grease. Both sides. Now we gotta get it in here. Okay, that looks good. Another washer, more grease. Then the stop. Grease on one side. Put that on. Now we'll get the bolt. The nut, I should say. All right, we're happy with that. A little more tight. Okay. Okay. Now we got to get the brake and put that together. Okay, here we are, freshly painted. I'll show you how this works. See this little lever in here? All right, well, you want the teeth to face that. But first, this area back here, this round area, has to go underneath this. Okay, now the loop's in there, and you gotta get the loop, the bottom of that little saber tooth, or whatever the heck they call it, gotta be right in there. Okay, when you see it like this, you can push the button. It's almost out. It's a little tricky. Oh, I missed it again. Okay, once you get it out like that, take this piece here, slide it in like this, underneath that. Then you can let your finger go and see how it goes in there. And then this goes on this little piece of steel in here. So when you push the button, it releases that and you can pull it up or down. So that's ready to be installed. I'll show you that next. Okay, the hole's still a little tight, but we're good. This little flat part wants to go on this little nub that's in the center here. That holds it in place. Okay, it looks like we're there. Tap this in. Let me get a hammer. Okay, now we have that little spring ring, the retainer, we have to put on this side. You don't want to drop it or it'll go down in your tunnel. A little tricky to put on. You want to be careful, like I said, you don't want to drop it. Okay, she's in there. All right, next thing we want to do is put this on and run the cables through. So we're going to do that now. We're going to run the cables through. Okay, let's put these cables in. Do the passenger side first. That's one. And eventually they get hooked to the cross member or the control arm that goes here. There's a snap, and then this of course goes to the brake. Okay, let's put the driver's side in. Okay, let's see what we got up front. We got to get a little hook. Make a hook to pull them out. It appears it might be easier to take this apart and bring the cables out first. That's what we're going to try to do. Pins are tricky. Gotta be careful of them pins. Very tricky. Okay. Now lift this out. Okay. I got a wire with a little hook on it, see if we can get these cables out. There's one. We gotta get the other one. Make our hook again. Oh, hurt the finger. Okay, we put one cable on one side, one on the other. Put the brake back in. Okay, we gotta put the shaft back in. A little tricky, you gotta make sure you get that little front hook on that little ledge. It's a little tough. They seem too short. I always hear everybody say they're a little short. I think there's supposed to be tension pulled on the spring and they just make it. So I'm going to try to put one on and see how it goes. Yeah, I believe I'm right. See how that went on? Okay, I'm going to go on the other side and put the other one on. Get a couple of nuts here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to bring it up enough I can put both nuts on. We'll give it the final adjustment when we're doing the brakes. Looks like a little 8 maybe, or 10. Let's see what we got here. 11. It might be a 10. Yeah, the cable seemed a little short. But in the back, I'll show you when I'm all done, there's the spring that takes it into the backing plate for the drum brakes in the back. And that spring needs to be collapsed a little bit. So they might seem small, but they're not. You just got to pull it up in there and take a little out of that rear spring. Okay, you need 2 nuts on each one. You want to have a locking nut too. But as I said, I'm not going to tighten these down or adjust them yet, because you have to put the back brakes on first. That's about where you want it. I'll show you what I mean by the springs in the back. There's a close-up. See, the brake cable comes out there, and it's going to go to the drum, of course, but now I just have it up in the air. And you can see there's the spring. Well, that spring has to collapse a little bit in order for it to hook up in there. Okay, we're going to get working up here on the pedal assembly. First thing we got to do is put the clutch cable in. Kind of bend it in there. Search for a hole. I think I got it. Yep, right about here, the entrance. It's a little tricky to get it in there. Okay, we're going to keep it right there. Check it in the back. Okay, this is always a little tricky. Let's see if we can figure it out. Sneak it in there. Sneak it in there like that. Let everything set for a minute. I'm going to go check it in the back. Okay, it was like I was saying, you got to keep that clutch pedal back. You don't want to fall forward or it hooks from the cable inside. I do 2 tricks. I'll show you the other one a little bit later. Okay, I screwed up. I put the spring on. I forgot to put the brake plunger on. So I had to take the pedal off in order to get in here and take the spring back off in order to put that all back together. It's not going to be easy. Got it. Yay. Now I got to put the plunger back on. Okay, plunger's on. Now I gotta get that nasty spring back on there again. I think it should go on easier than it come off. I hope so. Yep, she went on easy. Now there's this little keeper clip. It goes over the spring so it don't pop off. All right. Clutch is good. I'll show you the trick in the back. Brake is good. Throttle's good, except we need a throttle cable. Now I have to put this back in. Now the way this goes in, there's a little piece here. That has to go in front. Then you put this in here. You put the little shaft in. A little tap. Okay, now you take the spring, and behind this slot there's a little loop. You put the long end of the spring behind it. And what that does is, when your pedal comes forward, it don't stay there. It kicks it back. Safer to drive. Clutch is working. Brake is working. All right, I'll show you the back to clutch. I have this little block of steel. It's like 1 inch by 2 inch. And what do? Before I put the pedals on, I push it forward and I stick this piece of steel behind the throw-up bearing. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, it's behind there. Now see, this is loose. It won't come off up front. Now when I push it forward, it'll fall out, and then it's tight again. See, we're tight. There's a piece of steel. Kind of helps when you got one person doing it, so you don't have to leave tension on it. You take tension off this lever, push it forward, then it gives you more play. I have this screwed on about 1 inch, so I think that's pretty good. What's next? Okay, I'm almost done for today, but tomorrow I gotta put a clip there and a clip up here that holds that. Then I gotta put a couple gaskets or grommets where it runs through the Napoleon's hat. And then I go hook it up to here. Not sure what else I can do tomorrow, but that's number one on the plan. Like I said, the clutch works, brake works, and the pedal works. I gotta get a throttle cable. We also got this in today. Well, I'll show you when I'm all done. Okay, as you could see, I cleaned everything real well. Nuts and bolts, washers. This is the ground strap. You want to put some dielectric grease on this. Keep it from corroding, and you always will have a nice ground. You know these bugs with the wiring, a lot of times it's because of bad grounds. So you want to do every precaution you could not to have that problem. I'm going to clean everything and put some dielectric grease on there. Okay. We're going to go, this goes on here. Put a washer, nice clean washer, and a nut. Now we put the other end down here. That's our ground. Then we put a washer and a nut. Put a 13 on it. And tighten it. You want to tighten it hard, but you don't want to snap off the stud. I'm sure there's a torque setting, but I'm not the best using torque settings unless it's on something vital. Okay, we got the ground strap on. Move on. Okay, in conclusion, we'll show you what we got done today. Got the pedal assembly in. Everything's working, the clutch is hooked up. Got the emergency brake hooked up to the emergency brake cables, and the two heating cables hooked up to their knobs. In the back, we got a starter put in and a ground clamp. Give you a little closer view. Okay, the ground clamp's in. Don't forget the dielectric grease. There's the cable on each side here. There's the starter. We got the starter hooked up. Enjoy your project. Come back for more. Tomorrow we're going to do a little bit more. I'll give you a little hint of what we're going to be doing. Okay, that's just a small hint of tomorrow's priorities. Oh, and we have to bolt down that brake line that goes down along the tunnel. Have a good night. Enjoy your project. Oh, it's the weekend. Enjoy your weekend.